how did I wind up with a 69 C20? It looks like this. Yeah, it's not pretty, but I never said it was gonna be pretty. None of my projects are pretty because, well, I don't have the money to have pretty projects. I have the money for that. Yeah, it's not pretty, but it gets the job done. There's a little bit of backstory to this wonderful truck here. You see, this is a passion project that mainly my dad wanted. He was obsessed with having an old pickup truck. He said that he really wanted to have something to go get ice cream in. I said, all right, we'll go buy something. So he gave me a budget to find him a truck. Well, he's not very realistic with budgets and vehicles and COVID pricing, especially. And everyone knows how these trucks kind of went off for a little while. So we wound up with what the budget persisted of. Now, it looked a lot better than this. It didn't have keys or exhaust piping or, well, it had a bed on it at one point. It had an engine in it. It ran, it drove onto a trailer, off a trailer. There's been a lot. Didn't have this nice bench seat in it though. That wasn't there. That's an improvement. You know, as long as it's comfy, that's what matters, right? Maybe. Who needs it to run and drive? Overrated. So the point was we bought this with the intention of just buying a running, driving, kind of mediocre looking truck. Well, we loaded it up, we got it off. A guy said it was in a farm field for about 20 years. I said, hey, cool, no problem. Be an easy project. We'll slap a new bed on it, maybe do some rocker work. Yeah, well, I got it home. It was what, 2.5 years ago. And like any good project, it just never got done. We got it home, realized it wasn't running quite right. Took the valve covers off, realized that it had a collapsed lifter. So took that apart. Well, while I did that, I'm like, this motor's pretty rough. Let's pull it, rebuild it, you know, new carb, had a quadra-drunk on it. No one likes I mean, okay, there's probably that old guy out there that loves quadra-drunks and loves working on quadra-drunks on these things, but I wasn't that guy. There's a nice old rock sitting on my workbench over there that has been sitting there waiting patiently for the engine to be back on this thing, which the engine is actually right over here. This is the original engine that came in it. Yeah, you know, it's there. I got all the other pieces. But the point was, when we got it back to my old house, I had moved in this process too, which you know what it's like moving when a project like this is sitting around. Now, with that being said, I did a lot of the work here in this project. Obviously, my old shop did not have the wonderful lift. That and all this concrete is brand spanking new. We'll go into an episode on a garage tour of what I've done to my garage. Maybe I could find some photos, pull it back up. Hence the vaulted little peak there. That's a custom piece, so cars will actually lift into that to get full height clearance on the lift. But with that being said, this project here, yeah, it started its life with us like that about 2 to 3 years ago. And here we are now. I got it here. I took the engine out, all that at the old house. And you know what it's like moving a project from one house to another. You lose half the parts. You regret doing all of the work you did because you had to move everything separately. And yeah, haven't done much since then. Besides removing the bed and some other parts of that. With the bed removal, I'll flip the camera around here. Hopefully not too shaky, so you guys can see a little bit front hand. So first things first, there was the rear end of it, which was in a collision on this side of the bed. The bed was shot. There was no salvaging the bed. It was awful, as you can tell by the frame. it's not the best frame. Don't look at that too closely. It is right angle iron. Very big piece of it, almost scary. But it's hard to see. It might show. It's slightly tweaked. Again, this is just a truck that he wants to go toot around and get ice cream in, not to haul, anything like that. And it's not going to be speed. It's going to be a base setup, nothing special. Down here is some of the work I have done. We do have new shocks and coil springs in here already. It has made the truck a lot better off. They were so stiff before, you could jump on this thing and it wasn't moving. Tires, they're there. They do something. Everything else, that rust does something. That hole, that's factory actually. You see, they wanted aerodynamics with these old 69s. They wanted the wind to go right through it. So, you know, that's eventually going to be fixed with some body panels and everything like that. I'm no professional, especially when it comes to body work. So that's going to be really interesting. Yeah, I'm not skilled in much of this stuff. So don't think that the work that I'm gonna do is professional, as you can tell by my other replacement parts so far. If you are here for, let me flip this around. If you are here for professional work, you might just wanna find a different channel. I'm not a professional in any terms. Motor work, no. Body work, definitely not. Can I do it? Possibly. Here I am still, though. We're gonna put that in a possibly still. Anyways, back to the tour of this wonderful machine. So ultimately, that's the last main body here. I did some work here, replacing this section. My welds are quite literally awful. This one wasn't terrible for my welding. A lot of grinding really does the job, but then it was left out and that rusted. The floor is, you know, carpet covers that, but it does have this nice bench seat. Got a steal on this for $100. Nothing else really in there. When you come to the front, you know, yeah, it's a manual. It's a 350. It's a cool truck. I mean, honestly, like I said, it's a non-power steering, you know, nothing special like that. But I do have some wiring for it already, which has seen better days. It's been seasoned out in the weather, as I like to call it. We have some body panels hanging on the wall over there. This one probably won't get used. I bought it in West Virginia. Has a lot of Bondo on the bottom. This one, though, is clean. This will probably be getting thrown on this side to eliminate some of this. And again, there's a lot of patina, you know, patina, you know, just a lot of it. So this is going to be great when it looks like someone actually may be able to drive this thing down the road and not get tetanus from it, hopefully. Probably still will, but you know, at least it'd be better off than what it is. So yeah, eventually the goal is there's a motor that goes here. It makes noise and it moves. So what's the first steps in this? Well, one, to get a truck that's running, driving down the road eventually. That's the long-term goal, right? That's the goal of every project. You know, you want it to become running and driving. This doesn't need to be perfect. Obviously, it's a budget build C20 pickup truck. I have the bed for it. It's an 8-foot long bed that I drove to West Virginia to find for a decent price. It's not the best long bed in the world, but if you know anything about the C10s and C20s of this era, people took the long bed, the 8-foot bed models, cut them because the rust issues were so bad in some of the beds from the age, and made them short beds. While your only alternative to this was to buy the newer beds, which were remanufactured beds, which were one, either made of cheap quality steel that will rot out in no time either, or two, spend $5,000 on the bed. This truck is not worth $5,000 in the bed. The frame maybe will last another 20 years with a pound of sand in the back of it. But hey, if my dad wants to be able to drive this thing down the road, well, why not try to give that to him? So where's the first steps of this? What's the next step in this series? And that's a good question. We're gonna fix the body down here first. So the goal is, and what the next video will go over, is me hopefully welding on my patch panel over here. That side is good, so we don't have to worry about that. And that will be the first episode. Following that, the goal is to run the wiring through the rear end of this. And then once we get the wiring set up, I would love to throw the bed back on the back of this. We'll seal the frame one more time, try to prevent as much rust as possible, clean it up as best as can be, you know, throw lipstick on the pig here and throw my bed back on it, because boy would it be nice to see a bed in this. And then once we get that taken care of, wire up the bed, get the lights off, you know, not perfectly wired, don't get it working, but everything roughed in on the rear end. And then we would move to the front, which is where we get into the engine work, the front end work, changing out some of the body on the front end. Again, we're keeping a lot of the old school rust in patina. He doesn't want it to be a show truck. He simply wants it to go down the road to get ice cream in with his dog. So that, long story short, is my 1969 C20. Is it a race truck? No. Am I chopping it? No. Am I lowering it? No. What exactly is the whole thing with it? Well, some guy wants to go get ice cream in it, and I'm here to do that for him. And hopefully, you guys want to watch with me. So let me know what you think. The first episode or first entry into Rust Belt Racing here was, to me, one of my favorite videos to make, because it announced a passion of mine of what I've wanted to do. And secondly, you guys seem to react pretty well to it. I'm hoping with this, we'll get right back into that momentum. Keep building that. Let me know your comments, your thoughts, concerns with this truck. Maybe you think it's the dumbest thing in the world. Well, congratulations. Most people do, and I'm not too offended by it. I'm still gonna build it. If you're nitpicky, don't watch the channel, because you're not gonna like the stuff I do. I don't do things well, and I don't do them right, but hey, I do it my way, and that's how I do it. Again, I don't care. This is just for fun. If you have an issue with it, if you're that serious, go find a restoration project, go to Motor Trend, do whatever. I'm not that guy. I'm here to ball on a budget, and I don't have a lot of budget or time or a lot of stuff. But hey, let me know your thoughts, comments, and concerns, and I'll see you next episode.